All right, so welcome to it was episode 4 of the Real Estate Rundown.
Is this episode 4? I think it's episode 3.
Yeah,
Episode 3.
I'm getting ahead of myself, fired up.
We missed the last 2 weeks because of certain circumstances. So it should probably be episode 4, but we're about a week or 2 behind. But let's just get right in. To it.
Yeah,
So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about if you're getting ready to sell.
Awesome. Yeah, getting ready to sell. So a lot of people, I think, in this market, a lot of people, and if you're keeping up with what's going on in the market, you might think, oh, well, getting ready to sell, you don't even have to do anything, right? Just call a realtor, take a few pictures, and put it on the MLS. And maybe in some markets, especially in today's day, that might be kind of true, but there's so much more that goes into it, especially once the market starts to normalize and gets a little bit more competitive out there. Once, there's more houses that are going to be sold because we know inventory is low. So right now there's a lot of buyers are picking up houses left and right. But guess what? At this point, things are slowing down a little bit, and not every single house is actually being sold. So we have a few things on the list today. We want to get through them. We want to give you just the information. And Derek, so what do we got on there?
So I would say the first thing you do when you call a realtor, one of the first things that they should ask you is, what is your plan? Like, do you have a solid transition plan? Because I know Chris has experienced it, and I have as well, that most of the time people get into the selling process and they haven't really thought about where they're going from there. So they don't, all of a sudden they're 2 weeks from closing and now they're freaking out trying to figure out what they're going to do, where they're going to put their stuff or where they're moving. So one thing to really do is to make sure that you have a solid, well thought out transition plan.
Absolutely, because I think some people don't realize there's a lot of things that can happen in the process, right? Whether you're selling or buying, but we're talking about selling today, but do you have a place to go after your house is sold? Hopefully, yes, right? Maybe are you looking to buy, right? There's a lot of times that you are going to be buying another house and you're looking for the funds of this house, your current house to close, to actually move. And sometimes there is delays, right? Might be a delay in the sale of your house, but maybe in the purchase of your other house. And you think you're going to be moving on a certain day, and that's not happening. So having like a backup plan or having, just kind of your eyes with unforeseen circumstances is always beneficial. And also, overestimated time is going to take you to get out of your house. I've had sellers who are in the last few hours, they're trying to scrummage things together to pull out of the house, so the buyers could actually move in when they're supposed to move in, and they're supposed to be out when they're supposed to be out. So yeah, definitely that's a huge one, is kind of planning ahead.
Absolutely. And the next one is, a realtor's going to come in and give you a comparative market analysis, because a lot of people, sometimes they don't have like a real clear understanding of what their home is worth. Sometimes it could be underestimating and they not know the true value of their home, or I've seen it a lot where people think that their house is worth, far more than it actually is. And that's why it's so important to get a comparative market analysis from an experienced realtor. Because I've also seen where realtors have come in who aren't that experienced, and the seller tells them what they believe their house is worth. So the realtor says, okay, and then, for example, there's a neighborhood that nothing has sold in that neighborhood for more than $500,000. So it's not likely that you're going to be able to get more than $500,000 for your home in that particular neighborhood. So if you have a realtor that comes in and the seller says that I believe my house is worth $750, just because you list the house for $750 doesn't mean that you're going to get $750.
Absolutely.
And the problem with that is a lot of people are going to be scanning the market, seeing every other property in the neighborhood around the 500 price range, and they're going to see yours for $750. And to be honest, they most likely won't even look at it. It won't even be included on the list. One factor could be budget. That could be well outside of the person's $500,000 budget, or it's just they believe it's grossly overpriced. So you want to make sure that when you price your home, that it's priced to sell. You want to put it at especially in this market right now, there's been a lot of overbidding for houses because there just really isn't that much available. So say if your house is worth $450, a good going in price could possibly be like $445, because you also want to price it to sell. You don't want to price it a little too high or right on the cusp. You want to price it where it's going to sell. It's going to get people in there. So if you get 10, 12 offers, it turns into a highest and best situation, and you could end up getting $460 for that home instead of the $450.
Yeah, definitely, so that CMA is super important, because what the CMA, or the comparative market analysis, what it's going to be doing, what the realtor should be doing, is basically comparing what has sold in the neighborhood already, right? They're going to base on size, condition, whatnot. And to be honest, how I do it, I usually kind of go through a low, mid, and high price range to show you, and usually the best place to sit at is usually at that mid range. Is going to bring in the most people, right? Because we don't really set the market, we don't set the values as realtors. Basically the market sets the value, right? What are people buying for homes? So if a house is, like he said, just grossly overpriced, there's a few things you could run into. First, most people don't have cash to buy a house, so they need to go through a loan. And if the appraiser is going to come in and run something similar to a CMA that a realtor would do, and basically set a value to the house. Now, if it's overly priced, most likely it will not appraise, and therefore it will not be, they won't be able to get a loan, and therefore the deal falls through, right? So just have your deal actually go to the closing table. You want to have it priced exactly right. So everything that Derek said was just spot on right there. And I know a lot of people try to get, I understand it's your house, it's your baby, and you probably have an emotional attachment to it, and you just feel like it should get top dollar. And a good realtor is going to make sure you get top dollar for what you have. But the way to get top dollar is not by overpricing it. It's by pricing it correctly and allowing the market to go ahead and determine the value there. So if you price it right, you're going to get the most eyes on it, right? You're going to get the most offers, and then you could possibly get way higher than what you're asking for.
And also the next thing we're going to talk about is, like, a good realtor is going to go in there and tell you things that need to be done to the house, because you want to make it you want to make it presentable. It's your house, but you have to kind of get in the mindset of, we're trying to sell this. So you got to try to get in the mind of the buyer and figure out what they would want to see. For example, I was selling a house that had a couple of missing receptacle plates. Now those receptacle plates are only like $2.50 a piece, but to a buyer who comes in there, they're like, oh my gosh, this house has electrical problems. And something small like that can really deter people. And maybe you have marks on a wall, it makes the house look really worn, so you want to slap some fresh paint on there. Or even if you have some shrubbery in front of the house, you want to throw some bright red mulch, just to kind of, red is just a marketing thing, where red does something to the human brain that it just it just stimulates the human brain, and it makes it look good. But what you want to do is you want to just make sure your house is marketable. You want to make sure it looks nice and fresh and clean. And something else as well is when you start scheduling showings, you want to be as flexible as you possibly can, because I've seen where I've tried to show some houses where you have sellers that the house can only be shown between 6 and 8 on Tuesdays. Well, you can't expect your house to sell quick if you're only allowing people in there for 2 hours a week. If you want to sell your house fast, which the benefit to getting it under contract quick is once you get under contract, the showings stop. You don't have to deal with all that traffic anymore. So if you're flexible with your showings, and you allow people to come in there to see your house, and you get it under contract quick, then that whole part of the process is over with, and then it's a pretty much smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, I mean, easy way to just put it, I would throw with the showings, but, first impressions, what do people see right when they're driving up to the house? When he talks about the red mulch, people want to see a nice lawn, because at the end of the day, those are things buyers can work on when they buy the house, but let's just be honest, most people are visual, and when they see things not upkept or anything, it's going to lower the value in their eyes. Same thing with scuff marks. These are probably the cheapest things you could actually do to raise the value of your house in the eyes of a buyer. Right? Go ahead and pay a lawn guy to go ahead and cut the grass and do the shrubbery and all that stuff, and put some mulch down before you put the house on the market. Go ahead and touch up the paint on the walls, paint the walls. These are probably the cheapest things that are going to create the most value, because a lot of times, I've had sellers ask me, you think I should redo the kitchen before I go ahead and sell the house? I'm like, honestly, you could put $10,000 into the kitchen, but it's only going to raise the value of your house maybe $2,000. So why would you're basically losing $8,000 doing that? You know, sometimes it's the little things that matter the most. Because like we said, the market speaks for the market, right? It's whatever's selling in the neighborhood around that price range. So redoing the whole kitchen, can it bring some value? Now, if it's your house hasn't been updated in 40 years, okay, then we might have to talk. But if it's comparable to other things in the neighborhood, having a brand new kitchen isn't going to increase the value by 10 grand just because you put $10,000 into a new kitchen. Maybe a few grand, but you're probably going to end up losing money. Might as well just go ahead and make it look presentable, clean the kitchen, and that's going to be the best bang for your buck at the end of the day.
Exactly. And I know it's super hard, especially like if you have kids. I've been there myself trying to have showings, and then all of a sudden you get a ding on your phone saying there's a showing in an hour. So next thing you know, you're just like scooping up all the toys, throwing them in the bins, and then, all right, kids, let's go get some ice cream or something for an hour. But the more motivated you are to do things to speed up the process, the better. And like you said, you know, people are very negative minded sometimes. They'll come in and you know, they'll see a scuff on a wall and say, oh my gosh, I gotta fix that, or I gotta fix this. Look at these, doesn't have a receptacle cover on it, probably has electrical problems. People are very negative, and it's just better for it to look crisp and clean and as fresh as possible. I mean, even I wouldn't recommend lighting candles and leaving the house unattended, but put some Glade plugins, you know, have it smelling, you want it to smell real homey. And another tip is to also try to take down as many personal photos of you and your family as possible, because you really want the buyers, when they come in, to try to picture themselves in the home. And then when they come in there and they're seeing pictures of you and your family all over the place, in their mind, they're having a harder time picturing themselves in the house. So it just makes it easier for people if they can go in there, and there's very you know, keep your wall decorations, but just try to minimalize the amount of like personal pictures you have on your wall. It makes it better.
Yeah, people that are buying, they want to walk into their house, not your house, right? That's why they're buying a house, because they're looking, you know, they don't care about your family. No offense, right? They just don't. You know, I love my family, but no one's buying my house because I raised my daughter there, right? They're buying the house because they want to raise their kids there,
exactly.
Right? And so they want to visualize. So you take out as much, like you said, take out as much personal items, as much clutter, right? Because they want to see how they're going to organize, how they're going to decorate, where they're going to put furniture at, right? So it's good to have furniture because they want to, you know, see the space, how it's used. But if you have, you know, 14 couches in the living room, take out 12 of them, right? You don't want that much stuff, because they are going, wow, it's kind of cramped in here. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. There's all these toys on the floor, which you're saying, make sure it's cleaned up and make it look spacious, because it's what most people want. They want space. They want to feel comfortable in the house they're going to buy. And so let that be your house, right? I tell you, you go to the neighborhoods, and sometimes the floor plan is exactly the same. And they're going to go to a house that's cluttered, maybe has a few scuffs on the wall, and then they're going to go to your house, right? Because we know, especially in Florida, HOAs, a lot of these floor plans are very similar. They're going to your place, brand new paint, which only costs maybe not even $2,000-$3,000 to paint. If you do professional or you do it yourself, a few $100, a nice yard, and they're going to say, well, you know what, that house I have to repaint, I have to do this. Here, it's already done for me. Let's pick this one over that one, right? So it's going to give you that slight advantage on selling the house, which is exactly what you want.
Exactly. Now we also wanted to touch base on if you are considering selling for sale by owner, and kind of the pitfalls of that. So I've seen it recently where a lot of people are trying to save, you know, the $20,000, you know, in commission and stuff like that. So they determine in their minds that they want to go ahead and try to sell it on their own. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is when you try to sell on your own, you're not going to know about specific forms. For example, a seller's disclosure. So, say for example, you want to do for sale by owner, and you find a buyer on your own. Well, everything goes fine during the transaction, but 6 months later, after the deal's said and done, you get a letter in the mail from an attorney saying that you're being sued by your buyers for something that they found on the property. Now, it's not necessarily something that you didn't know about, but not hiring a realtor to have that buffer for you and having you sign forms like the seller's disclosure, because if you have a buyer sign a seller's disclosure, they're basically waiving any right to sue you, because they're saying, you're telling them up front that you have no knowledge of any current issues, or if there are issues, you make them well aware of it, so that way they know about it and they sign off on it, so you can't be sued. And so potentially you try to save, you know, $20,000-$30,000 on commission, but then you get a letter in the mail from an attorney and it ends up costing you $100,000. So it could end up being a really big boo-boo to go for sale by owner. So the money you're gonna spend for hiring a realtor, you're gonna save on headaches.
You know, I definitely agree with that. You know, yeah, definitely the headaches. I mean, to be honest, I mean, why do you hire a realtor, right? First, they know the market, they understand the legalities of it. Like you were saying, there's a lot of legalities to it. On top of that, they know the market. This is a personal story. I know someone who went for sale by owner, and they actually probably made $50,000 less than what they would have. So you would have said the commission they would have paid out was $20,000. So let's say they really lost $30,000. Why? Because they had their house appraised the year before, and they went with that value to list their house. But within that 1 year, the market tremendously increased, and he undervalued his house, where he could have made a whole lot more, and he didn't realize that until after he was under contract, after he got the new appraisal, and he was like, crap. You know, so working with a realtor, you sometimes, I don't want to pay. I guess what? I pay someone to do my taxes. Why? Because guess what? They're going to save me a lot more money, even though I'm paying them a good amount of money. The money I'll save is more than what I'm spending on a good accountant, right? So sometimes working with a professional is going to be the best for you. Also, too, you know, we can go to the next thing. You know, also taking good pictures of your home, right? I know a lot of for sale by owners, what they do, they grab their cell phone and they take pictures. If you have a realtor, you know, I know part of my package, if you're working with me, I'm going to go ahead and get you professional photos taken. I'm pretty sure with Derek as well, you know, because you want to have good pictures, right? I've seen so many pictures, for sale by owners, and even sometimes realtors. Get a good realtor where I literally see them, you know, taking pictures in the mirror with a little camera. The angles aren't right, the lighting isn't good, and it doesn't really show the best of the house. It doesn't just do the house justice.
Or I've seen a picture of a picture on a guy's cell phone. That was probably,
I haven't seen that one.
That's probably on my top 10 list of like the crappiest things that I've seen realtors do.
So as you can see, there's a lot of different things, and I can tell you, like we talked about the curb appeal, right? It's the first impressions, because the first thing people see about your house is not your house. It's the pictures that are online, right? It's the pictures that their realtor is sending, or the pictures that they may be seeing on the internet. And that's what's going to interest them. So if you don't have good pictures, to be honest with you, it's going to take a lot longer to sell your house, because no one's going to even want to go see your house.
And you want a slew of pictures too, because I've seen clients not even be interested in the property if I send them a listing and it only has 2 pictures. Because their immediate thought is there must be something wrong with it, because they don't want to take pictures of the house.
And usually that's the case.
Exactly. But I have seen a couple of circumstances where the house has been really nice, but there's only been like a picture of, like, you know, the front of the house and then the living room. And that's it. So the more the merrier, especially with drone shots, man. That is like something that really, to me, it really makes it pop out when people can get an overhead view, and then the photographers will also give you like a clear red line showing you what's included inside the property. Normal like pictures that someone's going to take with a cell phone isn't going to get you that. And when people see that, it also makes them feel a lot more comfortable about going into the transaction as well, when it looks more professional.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah.
No, those are huge. Those are huge, you know, and like the drone shots, you know, you want to see the neighborhood that, you know, people want to see the neighborhood. You know, is it close to the water? You know, they might want to say, how far am I from the coast? So you can write it in the description, but let's say most people are visual. It's easier if you see it. That's why YouTube is so famous and so many people are on it, because instead of reading, they just search and they could actually watch a video as opposed to reading something. Do we have any other tips or any other information?
Yeah, I got another tip too. So another good thing too that a realtor will also do is search to see if you have any open permits on your house. Because I have surprisingly. So during the title process, the title company is supposed to pick this up if there's any open permits on the property, and they're supposed to be closed out before ownership is transferred. But I have come across a couple properties recently that have been sold once and even twice, and closed, transferred owners twice, and still had open permits from the 80s and 90s, which I don't even know how that's even possible. But a good realtor is going to be able to find those things out and is going to be able to solve that problem for you. Because a lot of folks, I would say most people, if, for example, if somebody's trying to go for sale by owner, they have no idea to even check that process because it's just not a thought in their mind. But you cannot transfer ownership of property with an open permit or a lien. So most of the time, a good realtor will catch that stuff. But if a realtor doesn't catch it, then when it gets to title, but the sooner the better, because a lot of times, I wouldn't say a lot, but sometimes these permits will take 30 plus days to close. And the sooner you catch these things, the better. So a good realtor, right out of the gate, one of the first things they're going to do is whatever town your home is located in, they're going to do a search on the town's website and see if there are any open permits, and then coordinate with the city to get them closed. Yeah,
no, that's a big thing, and that could hold up a lot of people. I've seen it happen, and sometimes, like you said, or go to two or three different hands that property, and for some reason it doesn't pop up. With the advancements, obviously, with technology and stuff, things are more organized. And who knows, maybe they didn't have time to update it back in the 80s or 90s when it first sold, or it got lost in the paperwork. Now that we have technology, everything is pretty easy to find. And so, you want to have a realtor who has a good relationship with the city, who's able to get in there, kind of knows the back channels to get all this information for you. That's probably things you should be doing before you even list the property, because that's the last thing you want is to lose a sale because you can't get it closed on time, or you have to wait an extra 30, 60 days, and the buyer doesn't have that much time to wait. So yeah, all these things, that's a huge point too, and it's just some things that a lot of people don't even think about when they are selling their house. So there's just so many different things, which is, like I said, why it's important to use a realtor who knows, because this is what we do every day. We've done this, tons of times with different people, different properties. And then also knowing just kind of zoning laws is a huge thing too, because a lot of buyers are going to come in with ideas. Maybe they want to build a structure, and to know if you're able to, or they're able to. That's the more information you give a buyer, the less homework they have to do, the faster they're going to put an offer in on the property. Exactly. At the end of the day. So I have a realtor who knows the area, who knows the city, the community, the different rules and regulations, that they could share that with potential buyers. That way they don't have to ask nor search, and it makes the process easy for them, because it's easy for them, is going to be a quicker sale for you.
Absolutely. So you need a skilled realtor to sell your house. Don't do it for sale by owner.
Don't do it for sale by owner.
Or if you got a cousin or something who's been in real estate for 2 weeks, don't do it. I know it could cause some family issues, but you got to think about it. It's your investment. You want to make sure that you can get as much as possible for your property as you possibly can. You don't want to lose out or cheat yourself.
No, absolutely. And I think some people don't realize how much time it actually takes to sell a house. I know a lot of people think, realtors, they push a few buttons, they take a few pictures, and they listen, and they just sit back and relax. And that's not really the case.
Exactly.
At all. There's a lot of things. So imagine you want to sell your house quick, but I'm sure you're working, so you can't be at the property to show the house. You have to feel comfortable to leave a lockbox, make sure these people who get the information. You have to answer calls all day, every day. When you first put it on the property, if you don't have it on the MLS, there's only a few channels for people to actually see that. And then on top of that, you're not going to be available to do all the hands-on things that need to happen. And honestly, you're going to be limiting your buyer pool just by you not being available. Where a realtor, on the other hand, should be available to you, to people who are wanting to look at the house. So
exactly. It's just like trying to use your cousin JoJo to do some electrical work. I have seen that backfire pretty bad.
Do not use cousin JoJo. He's horrible.
Yeah.
He'll get it working, but every time you flip the switch, you might feel a shock.
Exactly.
Oh man, do you have anything else on that list?
No, that sums it up.
Awesome. Well, guys, this is episode, what's that? 3, 4, 5?
3, yeah.
Episode 3 of the Real Estate Rundown.
Yep.
And this is specific for sellers. So last week I know we did buyers. This week is for the sellers. I hope you guys learned something. And remember, if you guys are looking for good local real estate agents, definitely give us a call.
Absolutely. We got some amazing more content coming to you guys. Stay tuned.
Peace.